Robert Gerhard and Ottenwalder, Vols, Alt Camp. The 25th of September 1896, Cambridge, England. The 5th of January 1970, was a Catalan composer of classical music. He is one of the most prominent personalities of the Catalan musical heritage of all time, to the point of being regarded as a key figure in Catalan and European music. As a child and early studies. The father, Robert Gerhard, was from German Switzerland, and the mother, Maria Ottenwalder, from French Alsace. The family had taken root in Vols in order to devote themselves to the vine business. Robert, the eldest of three brothers, Carles, a member of the Parliament of Catalonia, and Ferran, continuator of the family business in Vols, was educated in these early years in a Catalan cultural environment. 1908 to 1914, Switzerland. In this town, Gerhard took advantage of his lessons in harmony and counterpoint with the German Hugo Strauss. A year later, Gerhard managed to get his parents to stop him from devoting himself solely to music. 4 months before the outbreak of World War I, Gerhard moved to Munich, where he studied piano, choir and counterpoint at the Royal Academy of Music. 1914 to 1923, Barcelona. In April 1915 he enrolled at the Academy Granados, where he perfected for 2 years his pianistic technique with the teachers Enrique Granados and Frank Marshall. In 1916, after the death of Granados, he was a disciple of Philip Pedrell, with whom he would study for 4 years and from whom he inherited love for ancient Hispanic music. 1923 to 1928, Vienna, Berlin. A long letter written by Gerhard to Arnold Sch. Gerhard. All the war events that followed in the following years, the relationship remained faithful until the master's death, and Gerhard always proudly retained the honor of having been one of the composer's disciples. NBERG left a deep imprint in both the creative and ideological fields of Gerhard, which paved the way for the following years in Barcelona. 1929 to 1938, Barcelona. Gerhard was well established in the landscape of contemporary composers and had a certain prestige recognized by the SIMC, which made it easier to organize the festival. Gerhard turned Barcelona into a cosmopolitan musically, at the Paris or Vienna level. Gerhard became one of the most prominent personalities of the Barcelona group of the so-called Generation of the Republic or Generation of the 27. 1939 to 1948, Paris, Cambridge. In early 1939, the Gerhard marriage decided to go into exile first in Paris and from June to Cambridge, where they would spend the rest of their lives, except for a trip to the United States to give courses in composition, and continuous trips to Catalonia to spend the holidays. He was invited by Hispanists Edward Dent and John Brand Trend, friends of Adolfo Salazar and Manuel de Falla. Advised to round an optimistic and immediate success, Gerhard chose a comedy of bombolics located in the late 18th Seville due to the Irish Richard Brinsley Sheridan, which closes large doses of humor and irony. The Duenna was an ancient and somewhat topical piece, ideal for Gerhard's purposes. 1949 to 1959, Cambridge. From 1949 he began to rethink what had happened around the Vienna School and its followers, extending Sch. Enberg's system to metric, rhythmic and formal structure. All this will lead to an interest in electronics and specific music, ahead of generations to come. His work begins to be valued internationally and his creative spirit remains in constant evolution. The latter symphony was reworked by the composer, years later, with the new title of Metamorphose. For example, the series regulates not only the heights of the sounds, but also their durations and the proportions of the composition. 3. 1960 to 1970, Cambridge, Nova York, Cambridge. Its application to the symphonic terrain will take place in composing the Symphony No. 3, Collages, incorporating a magnetic band treated as one more element of the orchestra's sounds. In 1960 he adopted British nationality. In the same year, he made a trip to the United States, to teach a composition course at the University of Michigan, for which he composed the string quartet No. In parallel, he worked on numerous commissions for theatre, film and television. Main works. Gerhard's most important works, in addition to the previous ones, are 4 symphonies, 1 concerto for orchestra, concertos for violin, piano and clavichord, the cantata La Peste, based on the novel of the same name by Albert Camus, the ballets Ariel, Don Quixote, Pandora and Vanities of Barcelona, as well as different pieces for various chamber ensembles, including sardanes to be performed by Cobla. He was the first composer of electronic music in Britain. With the score he accompanied to King Lear's 1955 Mount of the Royal Shakespeare Company. From his later period, the trilogy of pieces on astrological topics was highlighted: Bessons, Leo and Lyra. In these works, as in his 4th symphony, he advocates a language of great modernity that puts Gerhard at the forefront of the aesthetic concerns of his time.